Well, Bailey, thanks very much for joining us here on the Asian Game. It's great to have you with us. I've been wanting to have you on the show for a while, so it's great to finally to get you on. We'll get on to talking about football in just a little bit, but I did see that you became a father for the third time recently at the end of last year. Another little girl, I think it was. So, how hectic is life in your household at the moment?
Yeah, obviously blessed to have my third and beautiful daughter welcomed into the world. Born here in Singapore, which is cool. My first two, Koa and Tia, were born in the UK, so we're very international. With Ovi, my youngest, just being born here, so it is a busy house. A lot of screaming, a lot of dancing, a lot of shouting, but no, it's amazing. Like Singapore is such a great place to live and raise a family, and we've already like my wife loves it here and she's happy and the kids like it. So in terms of settling into life and having somewhere great to live, we're very fortunate to have that here. So so far, just loving the experience of raising a family in Singapore, and yeah, it's chaos, but yeah, I wouldn't wish it any other way.
You'd be pretty good at changing a nappy by now, I reckon.
Yeah, so, well, it's three kids under three, so it's
Was it three under
three girls
three?
and
Is it? Wow.
three under three, so it's yeah, it's non-stop, but it's great to see the little bonds they're forming, and yeah, it's constantly nappies in the bin. Um,
Yep.
yeah, but it's all good fun.
It's a very smelly household. I was trying to look at your social media. I thought it might have been three under five, but three under three, that's, I've got one under five, and that's enough. So I can't imagine three under three. Good luck to you and your wife. You mentioned Singapore is a very family friendly city. It's one of my favorite in Asia. How do you enjoy, you and the family enjoy living there? And when you get some time off, where are we most likely to find you? Where are your favorite spots in the city for you and your family to go and hang out?
Yeah, Singapore's great. It's even better than we ever hoped for, to be honest. Obviously, coming to Singapore was all about football and Lion City Sailors, which obviously we were extremely excited about. We know a little bit about Singapore, but it's always an added bonus, you know, when you've got a club like Lion City Sailors that want to sign you, which is great. But you also get to come and live in an incredible city, incredible country, which is the safest place I've ever felt in my life. Um, which you know, when you go away from Singapore and you come back, you then realize really how safe it is and clean and well organized. You kind of forget wherever else is like. But no, we love it. There's so much to do for the kids. We love the East Coast area. We've got nice cycle paths, plenty of playgrounds, water play, beaches. Although the ocean is just full of cargo ships, that's the only downside. But the East Coast is beautiful, and we've got some nice little cafes and kids play centers, which is tends to be any day off that you get. It's taking the kids out for a play, or if I'm lucky, I get a round of 18 holes in of golf, which is also difficult to get to do here in Singapore because it's yeah, a bit more tricky. But no, there's plenty to see and do here, and a lot we haven't yet discovered. You know, we've seen probably a quarter of the zoo because there's so much of the zoo to see, and other parks like that. So we love it, and we're sport for choice.
Mm. With the greatest of respect to them, I'm sure Singapore's just a little bit better than the likes of Sunderland and Preston. So you've certainly upgraded. You've certainly upgraded there. We'll get on
It's
to
very
talking.
different. I love them places too, but very different.
Very different places. Each has their own charm. We'll get on to talking about the football. We're talking just a couple of days after you had a big win domestically against your nearest title rivals, Tampines Rovers, that opened up a 9 point lead at the top of the table with 9 games to go. So it's not over yet, but you're looking very good. But how important was that win in the context of the season?
Yeah, we knew the importance of the game, but to be honest, one of the biggest motivations in the game was early on in the season. They pumped us 5-0 at our home, and a lot of us were still hurt from that. So that was our biggest motivation. Obviously, it's a massive game, first v second. They're a good team, really good side. They play a good brand of football, some good players, and it was a good game. I felt we deserved to win the game. We certainly wanted to win that game. Now we're 9 points clear with a game in hand. So, but we've had a lot of games. We've had a busy schedule, and I feel as a club we've really thrived off that. We've enjoyed having various competitions against top competition. So all around Asia, and I think it's going to put us as players and a club in a better state. So our goal this season in terms of the league is to go finish the league with as many points as possible, and every game in the league that we have that is an opportunity to really make our mark. So the game against Tampines was a good and tough game. But one we knew we wanted to keep carrying the momentum that we've had so far in February, and then hopefully take this into what is an important March.
Mhm. Lion City have sort of built a reputation as the big dogs of Singaporean football, sort of like the Buriram or JDT of Singapore, and that's sort of built on the back of the exploits in Asia, which we'll get onto shortly as well, and the level of foreigners that they've been able to attract, yourself included in that. But the club, surprisingly, hasn't won the league since 2021. So how important is it to the team and the club to get your hands back on that silverware?
Yeah, I mean, you when you come to this club, you know what the expectations are. It's clear from the owner, from everyone at the club that we're here to win, and um, the club's doing everything in their power to do that. The setup's incredible, the training facilities. We have everything we want and need, and more. So from that point of view, we have no excuses not to go out there and perform and win. And winning the league is the minimum, and we know that. And obviously, football doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you got to remember this club was founded in 2020. Where's the badge? During COVID, 2021. Um, so we're still such a young club. And in terms of what's been built in such a short space of time, you've got to come and see it to believe it. It's incredible. So, um, creating a culture, creating the winning ways, creating winning habits takes time, and I feel like every year the club's got stronger. It's exciting that it's exciting for me that I get to be here and be part of it. And this year we've got really high expectations, and obviously the minimum is to win the league. Um, because as a club, we want to give ourselves a platform to play in Asia. So you have to win the league, win cups domestically, because we want to perform well in the Asian Champions League, which we have so far in the ACL too. So, yeah, it's clear from the owner that he wants to win the league, but his ambitions are bigger than that too.
You've been in Singapore just over 18 months now, and many sort of saw it as a surprise when you first left the championship to head to Singapore. Firstly, why did you make that move at that point in your career? And we've spoken about how much you're enjoying it off the field, but on the field, how much have you enjoyed the experience so far as well?
Yeah, I think my whole career, I moved to England at 16 years old. So I loved and lived my dream in playing in England. I wanted to play in the Premier League. um, and I didn't. It didn't happen for me. Um, you know, various reasons. One, maybe I wasn't good enough, but I certainly tried my best, and I felt like that opportunity was probably slipping away or getting further away from me as um, the game gets stronger and stronger, and those opportunities are hard to get. But I still very much am proud of what I did in England and what I achieved. But um, the moment and the timing felt right for a new opportunity and a new adventure and a new experience. I knew, I guess I had a year and a half left on my contract. It was when I went on loan to Rotherham, and I knew my opportunities at Sunderland were becoming more limited. They were open and honest with me about that, and I was someone who wanted to keep playing and keep winning. So, I guess in the short term, it was to go on Rotherham and help them and try to stay in the championship, which we managed to achieve, which was a great experience. And then it was right, the summer come round, and it was what do me and my family feel like is right for us. And I knew it was time to move on from Sunderland. Although I had 12 months left there, it was time to try something new. So I really, we, should I say, my family, we all had an open mind about what that looked like. And Asia was always a possibility, holding an Australian passport, and Asian football is growing at an incredible rate. And I wanted something new and safe for me and the family. So from the moment I actually spoke to the club, um, I wasn't uh, overly sure about Singaporean football and what it was like. Um, but from the moment I spoke to the guys at the club, and they told me all about the project and what they wanted to build and what they wanted me to come and be part of, was exciting, because I wanted to stay ambitious and and win things and play in competitions. I'd never played in Asia professionally. I'd never played in the Asian Champions League or had those opportunities. So, I never got to play in Europe's Champions League. So for me, this is the next best thing, playing in Asia's Champions League, and I've loved it. Honestly, it took me a while to adjust. It took me a few months. I didn't play well. I wasn't performing well. Um, I maybe underestimated the level a little bit, if I'm being honest. And it's also a bit more challenging playing um, in this humidity. You got to adjust to that quickly, and I sort of had to do a little rejig and rethought mentally and physically on how I can get the best out of myself. And I feel so far has been good. So yeah, in terms of what the club have been wanting to do, they want to win. So I want to win too, and help them do that. And we've got a good squad, good group of players, and I feel like we're going from strength to strength. So it was the right time for me to try a new adventure, and Lion City Sailors was certainly the one that um, felt most at home to me.
Mhm. I mentioned the level of the foreigners as well. Does that help? You've got like guys like Maxi Lestien, Bart Ramselaar, Leonard Tai, guys that have played at a high level in Europe that are their age of teammates as well. Obviously, there's a vast sort of quality difference between the Championship and Singapore Premier League, with all respect to it. So, but having players of that caliber around as well at training, does that help you maintain your level to have players of that standard alongside you?
Yeah, and of course, our foreign players, you just named a few there. Um, but to be honest, the best thing about all of them is being really good people to play and work with every day. And I'm not joking when I say that. When you've got a good group of players that want to come here and do well, because I feel as a foreigner, there's an added pressure when you come because there's an expectation to perform and win, and sometimes that's not easy because you have to adjust, new life, new lifestyle, new. There's so many things that go into performing on the football pitch, and there's a lot of adjustments. So, in terms of all the foreign boys, they've been great, great group of boys, good, and obviously incredible careers, and are still continuing to play well and have great careers. But our locals as well, like you know, the standard of local players here is, and I train in day out with the boys in my team, and the level and standard is really high. We have some real top quality players that, sometimes haven't had that opportunity abroad because it is more difficult for Singaporeans. They have different barriers, different obstacles they have to overcome. You know, at an important part of their football development, they're away on national service, so they probably don't train and play football as much as you know, a lot of other kids around the world at that key development age of football. So to still be developing the talent that we have is great because we've got a great group of players, and I mean that, and staff, and foreigners. So when you get that blend, it's good, but it's special to be part of it. And like you say, the stronger the team is from, foreign and local players, the more competition there is for places. And I think that's what we've all enjoyed about it so far this season.
You mentioned you struggled a little bit with the adjustment early on and perhaps underestimated the level of quality. What are the challenges of playing in Singapore that you had to overcome that you perhaps didn't expect? Can you give the listeners an insight into perhaps as to what those challenges were and what it's like playing in the Singapore Premier League?
Yeah, tactically, it's a very different game. Um, if you look at some of the scores in a lot of the games here, there's a lot of high scoring games. A lot of 3-4s, 5-4, 6-2. Teams value attacking, and they kind of play a little bit free and loose, and a bit unpredictable. Where I guess playing in England, and certainly the Championship, people value defending more and just winning games 1-0. So a lot of games are won from, there might be one or two chances in the game, and that defines the whole moment of the game. Whereas the Singapore Premier League felt more open, more attacking, more unpredictable in terms of, um, you know, yeah, it was hard to put my finger on it, and that sort of unpredictability can make it difficult. You put a lot of organisation and preparation into games, and sometimes things don't happen the way you think because it is unpredictable, and that throws its challenges. But to be honest, also, when you're playing for the likes of Sunderland, you might have 35, 40,000 people expecting you to perform, and that adds an extra pressure and layer of motivation onto games. And sometimes we've not quite had that. We don't get those sort of crowds, and I guess I'm someone who I like that pressure, that expectation, that little bit of motivation, and that's certainly been on me here, but maybe I didn't put it on myself as much as what I should have at the start. And that's something that I had to notice and put into place. And look, I'm the type of character that always wants to win, and sometimes those things you got to have an honest look at yourself and say like, am I mentally prepared for these games like I should be? And maybe I wasn't for a couple games there, and that's something that I quickly noticed and realised that to prepare properly, because there's some tough games here and unpredictability, and Asian football is stronger than a lot of people give it credit for. So, all them sort of things that come into play. And also I was adapting to a new country, and for the first several months without my family living here yet. So it was tough then being on the other side of the world and not being able to there to help my wife with the kids. So once everyone's here and we're all settled, it's been far easier.
Mm. You mentioned before that the level of facilities that they've got there. Can you just you've played at clubs like Sunderland, Rotherham, Preston, some big clubs with big facilities. But how do the level of facilities at Lion City? They've got that fantastic new training facility now. How do the level of facilities that they've got compare to where you've been in the past?
Yeah, well, better than some of the clubs I've been at in England. And this is no disrespect to Rotherham's, but it's better than Rotherham's training ground, and probably Preston's got a new one now. But from when I was there, when I was younger, it was it's better than theirs. So Sunderland's is on another level, but also the UK has a lot of space and land to go and build such things. Whereas Singapore, it's either condos or football stadiums are sometimes in shopping centres here. So um, you know, it's much more difficult to be able to build something like that here because there's many more obstacles in your way. So for the club to build what they have, in terms of the footprint, it's not massive, but they've absolutely maximised every single inch of that place to be the best it can be. And that's a credit to the guys that designed it and built it. You're limited for space. So we've got a grass pitch and two artificial pitches, which the whole club use and run through and manage it really well. We've got a great gym, ice baths, um, everything you could want. We have food served for us there every day. So we're sport. We're kind of probably the first club that's done that here in Singapore. So everyone wants to be here and be part of it. So all them sort of things, when you speak to the club, it surprised me to see the level of detail that had gone into it and thought and professionalism. So it can only, as a footballer, I feel when you've got all those things to give you the best environment to go and be successful, you have no excuse but to go and be successful, and that's the way it should be.
I mentioned before the club's exploits in Asia in the past, and that's included big wins over K-League teams. They beat John Book, they beat Daegu in the Champions League in the past. Asian football structured differently now. You've got the Champions League Elite and you've got the Champions League Two that Lion City compete in. But how important is competing in Asia and this competition, the ACL2 that you're in this year, how important is that to the club to do well in that competition?
Yeah, I mean, massively important, to be honest. It was in many ways one of the reasons why I wanted to come to the club. I wanted to help and be part of this journey in Asian football and Asian Champions League Two now, which it's been formatted. And it's, I think, you know, just me speaking openly and honestly from the owner's point of view, he wants, football is a great way to put places on the map, and people recall, when you think of Singapore, he wants people to think of Lion City Sailors Football Club. And it's important we perform well in Asian competitions for people to see and recognise that this is the team from Singapore, and we have an opportunity to do that as a club, as players, and as an individual point of view. You want to play against the best teams all around Asia and challenge yourself and experience different styles of football in different stadiums with different atmospheres and different challenges. And so far, we've had a lot of challenges thrown at us, and I feel we've grown and grown and grown. And now we have a massive game against a huge team, obviously in the J League, Hiroshima, which are going to be another tough test. But this is what it's all about. This is what strengthens us as a club and as individuals, and will help people recognise who we are, because we're a very new club, and we want to. I feel we have a duty of not only representing the club but also Singaporean football.
Now, looking at this year's campaign, you topped the group in very dramatic fashion, I might add, with some thrilling games towards the end of that group stage. My heart went into my mouth whenever you went 2-0 up, because that was a dangerous scoreline for you there for a while. You just seemed to cough up 2-goal leads, but you got through the group. You've made it past Mung Tong in the round of 16. And as you said, now Sanfrecce Hiroshima await in the quarterfinals. What expectations did the team have before the campaign? Obviously, as you said, the owner has great ambitions that would match what the players have. So what expectations did the team set before the campaign, and have you met or exceeded those expectations yet? And how far can the team go?
Yeah, to be honest, as a playing group and staff and players, from the coach, the sporting directors, technical director, and from the owner's point of view, it was to at least get through the group stages. So in that respect, we've achieved that already. But I think it just made us hungry for more, and then the tie against Montong, we knew we were a good side and we were capable to beat these guys and knock them out. So if I'm being honest, anything now has just been a bonus, um, in terms of stepping stones and getting stronger and stronger in Asia. We know what it means, and we know, what comes with that. But there's really no pressure on us. Another big game ahead, but in terms of, I guess, expectations, we set new ones, and now we fully expect and believe we can go and go one step further and win these next two games. We fully respect the opposition and know they're a good side, but we're a good side too, and we've played a lot of exciting games, like you said there. It's end to end with plenty of goals, and that's who we are as a team. We have a really exciting team that like to play in the front foot and create and score goals. So, um, I hope that doesn't change. I hope we keep being the team we are, and I'm sure we will be.
You mentioned about playing on the front foot. A feature that I've noticed in your games this year is just how quickly, particularly in Asia, just how quickly you start games. So in the final group game against Port, you scored in the first minute. Against Mung Tong in the first leg, you scored. You scored in the first minute and were 2-0 up by the 11th minute. And then in the second leg, you won a penalty after about 43 seconds, I think it was. What do you put those fast starts down to? Because it then puts you in a great position for the rest of the game to have the game on your terms then and control the game. So if Hiroshima are listening, they've got to make sure they pay attention from the start, because those are the danger minutes. But what do you put it down to, those fast starts?
Yeah, we want to start the game with our intent fully on display, and that's our intent is to go and win the game and go and show you that it won't be an easy game. So, um, it's not by chance. This is something we actually speak about, and we've worked on the training pitch and in videos and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, we there's a lot of preparation and planning that goes on behind the scenes from all the staff that gets shared with all of us players, and we have a complete buy-in. So, yeah, like you said, there all them goals that we've scored, starting games fast. It's something that we value and we're proud of, and yeah, it won't be changing.
Let's see what happens against Sanfrecce Hiroshima. Bailey, thank you very much. Let's hope for another fast start against them next week. I think it's next week in the first leg in Japan. I think it is that first leg. So that'll be a huge game for you and the club. Best of luck for that. Best of luck for the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll see your hands on some silverware in a few months' time.
That'd be lovely. Thank you very much for having me on, mate. I appreciate it.